Here we go.
Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're well. You're amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. It's Wednesday, baby. It's Wednesday. It's a midweek hump, and we all love a midweek hump. Yes, I've had a bit of a... Things are going to look a little bit different around here. Now, we are trying to get to a point where we can go outside and start doing some things outside. I'm just tired of that polished look. You know, we just put a doc up on the screen and we read through it. Just find that real boring. You don't want to see that, do you? I don't want to do that. So we just want to do things a little bit different. Get back to basics somewhat. Back to basics. And what are we talking about in this video? We're talking about Rogelio Nores as his strategy for fighting this Liam Payne situation seems to be to obtain the help of someone whose brother not only works in the Justice Department, that's right, now you could argue that could be a conflict of interest, but the lawyer chosen has a little bit of a penchant for let's just say, dealing with stuff that happens in hotel rooms. Heinous acts, some of the worst acts imaginable, including a male, you know, when it comes to a male, what he can do to a female, and getting them off of all charges. So we're going to talk about that as much as we can, because obviously this is YouTube. We can't just talk about anything that we want, how we want, because you won't get to see the video, because they'll block it. So let's get into it, right? But, so this is, I'm not going to just read this article word for word, because we don't want to read it word for word. Again, that's what we want to get away from. I want this to be like we're sitting around a campfire having a chat about the stuff that's been going on in the world. Have a bit of a chinwag. Should have a coffee in one hand, you know what I mean? But it says, I'm going to call this guy Raphael, because his name is Raphael Cuneo Liberona. And I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't really care, but I don't want to keep saying the same thing wrong over and over again, because I'll look even more of a dickhead than I do already. So let's just say the businessman prosecuted for the death of Liam Payne, and it's you know, he's involved. He's definitely involved. Strengthens his defence with new lawyer. Raphael now represents Rogelio Nores. The businessman will face a sixth chamber of the House to deal with his appeal. A controversial lawsuit to the singer's father. Because there's two cases there, isn't there? There is the Liam Payne situation itself. Was Rogelio Nores involved in the negligent manslaughter of Liam Payne? Or was he not? We'll get into it. We'll speak about it in a bit, because I don't think Raphael, unless he's got a magic wand, he can really get Rogelio Nores off of this. And we're going to speak about one specific fact that covers that absolutely. Now, as a side note, I just want to address something, because this is something that's been on the sort of the peripheral of this. Now, we have spoken about Liam Payne potentially resigning from businesses on the day of his death. Me and Brian Harvey spoke about it. And some people have also reached out and spoken about this to me as well, and brought my attention to something that I was already looking into. But what it would appear is Companies House in the UK. When somebody dies, you have a period of time to express what has happened to the government body. You have, I believe, it's approximately 2 weeks to let them know what has happened and say, look, this person is now deceased. They're no longer the director of this business. And what will happen is that will get backdated to the day of the death. And it would become basically effective that this person had nothing to do with this business as of this date, because they are now deceased. So it's quite... Let's just say it doesn't appear that Liam Payne was going through his businesses and resigning from his businesses on the day he died. That would be wrong for us to continue pushing that. Now we have this information that would seemingly confirm that, yeah, the government means that you have to tell them, and he is then removed. Does that make absolute sense? So going forward, let's not think that Liam Payne was going through his businesses and resigning from his businesses, because that would be us being incorrect, inaccurate. But anyway, so on February 10th, the 5 defendants of the death of former One Direction singer Liam Payne, and his defenders will face a 6th chamber of the criminal and correctional chamber to appeal their situations, because the courts are closed at the moment. The courts are closed, nothing's happening, and they reopen at the end of the month, beginning of February. So among them will be Rogelio Nores, aka Rog the Dodge, accused of manslaughter, and next to him will be his new lawyer, Raphael, not to be mistaken with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the one with the red band. He had the scythes. It ain't him. In recent weeks, Cuneo Liberona, brother of the Minister of Justice of the nation, responsible for the defence that achieved the dismissal of rugby players Oscar Jeju and Hugo Arodu. These are French national rugby players who was involved in the R word of a female. Now, the victim, she had multiple injuries. This was a horrendous attack that happened in a hotel room of a hotel. Now, this fucking idiot, he pulls this apart. This Raphael absolutely pulls it apart. He goes over the footage. He says that the footage in the video shows the victim leave with no visible injuries, which would contradict the allegations and the overwhelming proof that there was no consent in the victim's, what happened. So this would eventually get an acquittal. He would get them off. They would walk. Now, no visibility. Well, unless she left that fucking hotel room with nothing on, you're not going to see anything, are you? You're not going to see anything. But the point being here is we have a lawyer that seemingly specialises in getting evil bastards off of stuff that they do inside hotel rooms, and then they eventually walk free. And we've got a similar situation with Liam Payne. Something happens in a hotel room, in a little shitbox hotel, and what's going to happen here? What's going to happen? Is Rogelio Nores going to walk free because of the aforementioned potential conflict of interest, where this lawyer's brother actually works for the government, if you like? Just don't sit right. It doesn't sit right. Now, let's not forget, Rogelio Nores is a rich guy. I know there's a lot of stuff going out there saying that he's in debt or anything like that. There is nothing to substantiate those claims. Everything that I can see points to Rogelio Nores being a wealthy individual, and he is surrounded by other wealthy individuals. One of them that we spoke about yesterday being Gonzo. These are people of money. With money, of money. The people who don't have money are the likes of Brian Paynes, and Nathaniel Ezekiel. These are the guys that don't have any money and are likely to be the ones that do take the rap for what happened to Liam, as we see media continue to push this. Liam Payne was in a mess. He was his own man. He made the choices that he made, and this is what happened. There was this climax that ended in a devastating end to Liam Payne's life, and the blame being passed on him, while everybody else around this seemingly get a free pass. And look, I did say at the beginning of this video, we're going to look at why this shouldn't work. Unless you've got money involved, and you've got corruption involved, or conflicts of interest that shouldn't rarely be involved in this whatsoever, then we have a problem. There is a problem here. Is Rogelio Nores, does he have the ability to buy himself out of this issue? That's what I see here. I see someone who is using someone who has the ability to get people off of doing heinous acts. And yeah, let's look at it. So look, and he's obviously accused of negligent manslaughter. Next in will be his new lawyer, Raphael. In recent weeks, what we're doing, we're going back. So Cuneo Liberona approach is based on a question of objective responsibility. In her prosecution, Judge Laura Bruniard pointed to Nores as a guarantor of Liam in the country. In line with that was raised with prosecutor Andreas Maudria, who through telephone expertise and the testimony of Jeff Payne, Liam's father, had surrounded the singer in his last months in his treatment for drug use, controlling his expenses, even his communications with his own father in view of perhaps a possible pot business. Nores, on the other hand, denied being the manager in his representation of justice. In the middle of this month, after Infobay revealed the strongest points of Jeff Payne's statement against Nores, produced 2 weeks after his death in October 2024, the businessman counterattacked with a defamation lawsuit against Payne's father, with a 263-page letter advanced by journalist Thomas Myler of Rolling Stone that mentions articles and scoops by the author in his note. It was presented curiously in Florida, where Nores accompanied Payne in his treatment before arriving in Argentina, and not in Cabar, where Liam's father said. Again, some of the translation of this might not be 100% on point. The lawsuit we present in the United States is to put a stop to an unnecessary and lying attack. Lying, where we seek to hold a person like my client accountable so as not to discover the reality of who is responsible for pain, who has fallen into drugs from a very young age. My client is not a manager, not a nurse, not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, nor is he dedicated to the recovery of addicts. Stick a pin in it. He is a simple friend in Argentina who helps him with his commercial issues, Cuneo Liberona assures Infobay. So everything, according to the lawyer, is about personal responsibility. And here comes Cuneo Liberona. The lawyer who represents businessman Francisco Sens Violenti, accused of the death of model Emily Rodriguez at a D-rug party in his apartment in Retiro, spent part of his academic life investigating the figure of culpable crime. He wrote a reference volume, Penal Responsibility of the Entrepreneur, published by Editorial Astria, as well as a thesis about it at the Astral University. In the volume, Cuneo Liberona investigates the position of the guarantor. Then we also enter the sphere of competence of domain of each one. We are not all responsible for their actions. Everyone has a role because we live in a society of roles. So he was not a guarantor. The lawsuit that we initiated in the United States is to put things in their place because today it is very easy to declare wrong against a person, he continues. However, Norris accompanied Payne, controlled his expenses, got him accommodation, among many other things. It's on file. I knew his psychiatric treatment and the danger of the interaction of medication with alcohol. What is the new axis of defence then? The axis is going to be to get the position of guarantor that they attribute to Norris. There is a very big confusion between the position of guarantor of a person and the legal duty that each of us has as a principle of self-responsibility to take care of ourselves. So is it Payne's very responsibility? The singer was a person who already had a complicated history, recoveries, relapse, and knew very well for many years the harmful effect of the drugs. So everything continued to consume of his own free will. No one forced him, no one gave him over, no one coerced him, no one extorted him to consume. So look, this is where we get into the bones of it now, because in reality, that's not factual. And that isn't factual, because when it says that somebody has the responsibility to do the right thing by themselves, because that's what we've got here, and look, we have toyed with that principle. We thought originally when they were like looking at Rogelio Nores, for instance, for the abandoning of a person resulting in death. Now, my argument here is that when you have somebody, right, that is like Liam, who has had the issues that Liam has. Now, they are, and I've spoken about this before, they are a product of their environment. I'm a product of my environment. I'm heavily influenced by that's around me. So if people are around me and they're all buzzing, they're all happy, then I'm happy. When I'm surrounded by people who are fucking just miserable, you get dragged down. Do you know what I mean? You probably, let me know down below if you're the same. There are people who it don't matter what's going on around them. They're just their own person. They're not really affected by it. But there are certain people who are affected by those that are around them. Now, Liam Payne, once he's in a situation where, yes, he may know that things are bad, but there is a tipping point. There is a tipping point where you are then no longer Liam Payne. When you are an addict, for instance, and you take a substance, that you're no longer Liam Payne. You are the person that you've become off the back end of that intake of that substance. And then where is the responsibility then? Now, I guess from a legal standpoint, that's what they're going to say. They're going to say that Liam Payne put himself in a position that my client doesn't have from a legal perspective, you can't blame him for it. This is not his doing, and there is nothing written down that says. But the issue here, what I alluded to at the beginning of this video, is Liam Payne, when he's surrounded by certain people, Liam Payne is fine. When Liam Payne was in Florida and his father was there, he seemed to be doing well. When he was talking to his father, he seemed to be doing well. So Kate Cassidy was around Argentina. Now, we don't know 100% what was going on there, but seemingly he was doing polo. He was playing with this other guy, again, who we spoke about yesterday. And, Gonzo even said that he spoke to Liam on this actual day and everything was fine. So the question comes down to the facilitation of what Liam Payne was doing. That's the question here. Who was facilitating the things that were known to become harmful? Now, if it can be proven that Rogelio Nores was involved in that facilitation, then because of his knowledge of Liam Payne, it could be argued that he actually purposefully place Liam Payne in a position knowing that it would potentially have a catastrophic end. And that's going to be the argument here. It's going to be needed to be proven that Rogelio Nores facilitated Liam Payne. So that's like when them videos, like we showed a video a while back where it looks like Rogelio Nores hands something off to Liam. Did he or did he not hand something off to him? When we hear about these texts where they're talking about the 6 Gs of the good stuff and things like that, do you know what I mean? Was that an actual message, or was it just something for media? Was it bullshit? Was it bullshit? Because these are the little things that are going to become very, very important. Brian Paez, Nathaniel, and all how did Liam Payne get himself in a position where he could reach out and speak to these people? We have questioned why Liam Payne was in this specific hotel. Was he in this specific hotel because it gave him the ability to be facilitated? And again, that will go back to who arranged this. Who arranged for Liam Payne to go to this hotel? Why did they? Now, Rogelio Nores, it's undeniable that he was heavily involved in Liam Payne's care. He was arranging doctors. If he was just a friend, there would be no reason whatsoever for legal representation to have Rogelio Nores' details and to discuss anything to do with Liam Payne's care and ongoing medical condition with Rogelio Nores. That it would have been none of his business whatsoever. The very fact that the medical professionals were liaising directly with Rogelio Nores proves that his friendship went into the realms of care, and certainly knowledge. So if you have what he, by his own words, in his own 263 page, when he throws Jeff under the bus, when he throws Kate Cassidy under the bus, he claims that they have superior knowledge that puts them in a position to know what Liam Payne's needs are, while trying to ignore the fact that he is no different than them. And in fact, he potentially has certainly more knowledge than what Kate does from a documentation standpoint. Now, she perhaps, because she's Liam Payne's partner, knows certain things, but Rogelio Nores has got direct communication with the care people around Liam. So he does know. So again, this goes to being able to prove facilitation. And if you are purposefully facilitating someone with all the knowledge that you have, then why are you doing it? What is your end game here? And is this just not simply about negligent manslaughter? Was this about something much, much more sinister? I've said this before. Was Rogelio Nores just a fucking stupid idiot, or was he evil? And was he planning on doing something to Liam Payne? The danger is now is that he has a lawyer around him whose brother is within the legal system, and they have, again, a skill of getting people off of real heinous crimes. And near enough, an identical situation. A heinous crime that happens in a hotel room, and all this footage and things getting used and twisted, and the perpetrators walk free. This may not end well. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you all later on today. Mwah.